You know what? Let's go ahead and just talk about Harsetti. Let me find the freaking video. I haven't done a video of this, so let's go ahead and yap about her for just a minute, because she is the talk of the town right now.
What worthless little creatures. This is a waste of my time. You outlived your usefulness. Now rest in peace.
I will not give in to despair.
Sovereign Harsetti, ruler of Skookyheim, the forest of the Shadow Elves, comes from a middle-class background. Although she was never a candidate for the throne, she rose to the highest command with her exceptional intelligence and martial prowess. Soon, as political strife led to chaos, she overthrew the incompetent sovereign who was passively observing the crisis and took the throne for herself. However, unsatisfied with just being the sovereign, Harsetti secretly plans to pursue even greater ideals.
Okay, so everybody saw this unit and saw her kit, and everybody was like, oh my god, it's over, this game is over, holy crap, she's gonna ruin everything, it's end of service, everybody, it's end of service, run, there's no way out of this. This is just like when they released Luna and it ended the game. This is just like when they released Landy and Landy ended the game. You remember when Nakwal was end of service? Holy crap, it's happening again, guys. We're end of service. It's just like Seaside Bologna. She's unstoppable. Guys, how are we ever going to come back from this? APOC Ravi, it's ending the game. There's no counters. There's no counters, nothing. You just are going to lose. You can't get around this. And other such sane responses, right? That's pretty much how everybody has been reacting to Harsetti, right? Am I wrong? Is that not like 90% of Reddit and Stove right now? I think you guys seriously underestimate Smilegate, or any gacha game for that matter's, ability to create a problem and sell you a solution. Is she busted strong? Yeah. Yeah, is she going to be a major problem? Is she going to be like a major, like, this unit's going to be pre-banned like 24/7? Yeah, it's going to be like Bellion, right? Who was also an end of the game unit. She is probably not going to see the inside of RTA for quite a while. But let's talk about what has got people so hyped up about this, right? So she's giga fast and she's giga bulky. She's got New Moon Luna's base stats, which is impressive, right? You can build some serious New Moon Lunas. I've got a 21k health New Moon Luna's 307 speed. You could theoretically do that with Harsetti, but she doesn't even need the speed. You can focus the stats in other places. This is the skill that's got people panicked and confused about what she can do, okay? At the start of the battle, the speed of the caster is fixed going forward, right? That means even after the caster dies, the speed is still, her speed was still fixed, and anything that worked off of that speed is going to remain in effect. It's at the start of the battle, so it's impossible to seal, because even if you sealed it, it was at the start of the battle and it's locked into place. So none of that, no concepts like we'll just seal her and everything goes back to normal, doesn't work. Okay. Other thing is that the speed of all heroes, except for the caster, is limited to 90% of the caster speed. So what this means is if you take a 300 speed Harsetti into the fight, all of the other heroes except for the caster will have 270 speed or less, because note it says a maximum of, right? So let's say you have Harsetti at 300 speed, and then you have a 290, a 280, a 1, and a 100 speed unit on the team, right? The 290 and the 280 units go down to 270 speed. They become the exact same speed. The 100 speed unit is still 100 speed. So you're going to act like a 300 Harsetti, 270 units, and a 100 speed unit. It does not scale up lower speeds. It only scales down higher speeds. Now, that may not seem like that big of a deal until you realize what happens if you take in a base speed Harsetti, 124 speed Harsetti. Well, if you take in 124 speed Harsetti, that means all heroes. And notice it says all heroes, not all allies. All heroes. That means your heroes and the enemy's heroes. Everybody will go down from a 90% of 120, 111 speed, 111.6 speed. Everybody on your side and their side will all be 111.6 speed, except for Harsetti, who will be 124 for the entire fight. Whether you seal it or not, whether you kill her or not, that's your speed through the entire fight. And this is only for PvP. What PvP means is you're fighting units that are built by people. RTA, Guild Wars, regular banner arena. If a human being put gear on the unit, it's going to work there. It's not going to work if you're fighting Zeo in the adventure side story, but it will work against a Zeo on Guild Wars. And on the caster's turn, combat readiness increase effect of all heroes is not applied. On the caster's turn is very important to read. So what does this mean in a fight? Okay, this means in a fight, Harsetti is always going to go first with one exception, and that one exception is Zeo. Combat readiness increase of the heroes is not applied. Zeo's combat readiness increase says specifically, automatically to his speed, he adds 16% combat readiness, right? 20% once you fully mola it. Effect that reduces combat readiness increase to the caster receives, he's unaffected by it. So what this means is Harsetti's skill that would stop that from happening doesn't work on him. So the turn order is going to be Zeo always goes first, because Zeo dropping down to 90% and then pushing back up 20%, he's always going to cut her. He's outside of speed RNG. So Zeo always goes first, then Harsetti always goes second. And then after Harsetti, everybody is the exact same speed, unless you run a really fast Harsetti, and we'll get into some MLMs there. But unless you run some really fast Harsettis, that's the turn order. Zeo, Harsetti, everybody else is the same speed on your team and their team. There's no way to control which units go first. There's no way to set up turn order or anything like that. And it's going to basically mean it's going to be nearly impossible to cleave with this unit unless you start getting really, really clever with your builds. So this is the ultimate equalizer for turn 2 units who running slow enough they don't really care about turn order. Negate speed set. Man, I would hate to be that guy that rolled a 25 speed banger the day before this unit came out. But I guess you can always ban him, right? So that's just one of her 3 skills. As if this wasn't enough, there's more. I want you to see this, what happened here, right? Let's assume Harsetti is 124 speed, everyone else is 111 speed. And you're like, but I'm seeing different stuff here. I'm seeing different orders. Yeah, they're all, you've heard of speed RNG, right? Speed RNG is a misnomer. Speed RNG is actually CR RNG, but that's hard to say. Speed RNG is just easier to say, but it's actually CR RNG, right? And CR is based on your speed, so it kind of works out, right? But 90% is where everybody should see. 2 units were exactly at 90%, where they should be, right? And then everybody else was speed RNG down. 1% off, 2% off, 3% off, 4% off, could theoretically be as low as 85%. If this person did this exact same fight a second time, the next time around, Carmen could be the first unit to go and Sid could be the last. Top model could be the first. Because I tell you what, in no world is this Blood Moon haste faster than this Sid. No way. It just randomly placed. Now, it could be Harsetti goes, and then all 4 of your enemy go, and then your last 3 units go after that. It could be all of your units go. There's really no way to control it. So if you're running Harsetti, you need to make sure that the units you have, it doesn't matter what order they go in. Now, to protect you a little bit from that, Harsetti also is a whole ass control unit built in, right? Her skill 3 attacks all enemies, decreasing buff duration by 2. So immunity, get wrecked. Immunity's not going to work. Has a 70, ER will work. Nothing in this says ignore ER. So theoretically, you can resist a lot of this stuff if you build ER. Attacks enemy with a 100% chance. I know it says 75, but you got another 15 here and another 10 here. So it's once you put Mola in it, and who isn't putting Mola in this unit? 100% chance to inflict unable to counterattack. Remember that buff from Judge Kisei that she lost recently? She lost it and Harsetti found it. And buff block. So you're going to be buff blocked and have anti-counter. So using things like, I'll just let her S3 and then my Landy will destroy her. Nope. Can't counterattack and unable to be buffed. Put right on there. Penetrates the target's defense. That's great, because everything should just penetrate defense. When focus is full, consumes all the focus, increasing damage. Damage dealt increased proportional to the caster's max health. HP scaling unit makes her even easier to build Giga Tanky. We don't know what her damage is. We haven't seen her numbers yet. If the videos to be believed, it looks like that her damage is kind of mid for her S3, but when you get the damage boost, it's insane. What does this mean for a counter? Right? One thought was, oh, we'll just use Angel of Light Angelica. She can take care of this. Well, here's what Angel of Light Angelica is going to do, right? First, she's going to cleanse the counter buff, or counter debuff, not the buff block. So she'll cleanse this. Her passive will go off and she'll cleanse the first debuff. But buff block will remain, so she's not going to be able to put... sorry for the blurry. Let's see if we can get that better. She'll get rid of the counter debuff. She'll cleanse that away, and then she'll try to put buff block on skill null on everybody, but she won't be able to because buff block's in place, so no skill null. And then it says that she will CR push up, but she won't CR push up because all this is happening during Harsetti's turn. And if you remember, the wording on Harsetti's turn was you can't CR push up any of your team, and that works for you as well, by the way, guys. Don't think you can use this in conjunction with, say, Jacko, and have your Jacko push to the front. Don't think you could use this in conjunction with Requiem Rowana, right? Because as soon as she takes a turn, as soon as her turn starts, no CR push-ups, and when her turn ends, there's still no CR push-ups until after her turn is ended. So you will not be able to use her to manipulate Rowana. You will not be able to use her to push up Ludwig. AOL is not going to be able to push out of this. At best, AOL can cleanse this. Now, I guess theoretically, if you ran AOL and Tywin would take care of one debuff, AOL would take care of the second debuff, and you could get skill null on everybody. It wouldn't protect you it wouldn't let you push up, it wouldn't change turn order or anything, but at least you could exit this mess with skill null on all of your new units. But that's running 2 support units in the face of 1 damage dealer. You're already kind of putting yourself a little bit on the weaker side, and you're also vulnerable to bans. So anyway, this is an awful amount of control. This is a full-ass control unit in 1 hit. This prevents you from countering into it if she sticks it. You know, most people that run counter units don't have a lot of ER on them. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a real tough thing to fight into. And just to polish things off, we'll talk about her S1. Attacks the enemy with a 60, 70, 65, 75% chance to defense break for 1 turn. Well, that's great. You know what's awesome is that a control unit who makes speed set not really important anymore can also just put defense breaks on you for reasons. When it's the caster's turn, uses En Passant as an extra attack. Damage dealt increased, so she's HP scaler. Damage dealt increased proportional to her attack. So what En Passant is she attacks all enemies with a 75% chance to decrease attack for 1 turn as well. Damage dealt, proportional attack. So, you guys ever see Solitary of the Snow do her S1 and then she goes right into her S2 for an extra set of AoE attacks? So she single targets an S1 and then AoEs an S2. That's what this is. She's going to single target an S1 to defense break, then she's going to AoE an S2 into that defense break, also putting attack down. And if you soul burn it, it makes it 100% attack down, 100% defense break, and it is for 2 turns instead of 1 turns, which is pretty damn debilitating for just an S1 skill. To do extra damage, extra debuffs, and make it double the length of time, and it's only 10 souls, that's freaking insane, especially on a Soul Weaver who can wear her own books. I'm legitimately surprised they didn't say Anne gives her an extra turn at this point.
Gambit. Gains defense.
So this is what skill looks like, right? She S1s, ignore the dual attack, and that activates En Passant for an extra attack and does damage into the defense break. And it looks like a lot of damage, guys. It's a lot of damage. So that's what's heading our way. Those of you who said, I'm going to skip Ilanov and wait and see what Harsetti looks like, congrats on making good choices. Now, the difference is somebody might actually let you play Ilanov. Nobody's going to let you play Harsetti. But this is crazy. So let's talk about how this S2 skill interacts with other units. We spent a lot of time going over this during the podcast, analyzing it and trying to figure out ways to counter it, ways to deal with it. It says very specifically on the caster's turn. Combat readiness increase of all heroes, not enemies, not allies, all heroes. Your team and their team. All heroes is not applied for combat readiness increase. So there's 3 things to note here. All heroes, meaning everybody on the board, including Harsetti. Combat readiness increase. That means it's not going to impact decrease. You'll still be able to use combat readiness decrease effects. And on the caster's turn is very specific wording. For example, Angel of Light Angelica. Increases the combat radius of the caster. Well, when you're attacked by Harsetti, it's not going to activate this passive. It's not going to increase the combat radius of anybody because you cannot increase combat readiness. But what about things that are specifically designed to deal with this, right? What about Eternus? That happens after the enemy takes a turn, right? Well, let's read. Increases the combat readiness when the ally has a debuff at the end of the enemy's turn. Now, I can't guarantee it because translations and wordings and the order of operations can be a little bit buggered up, especially with artifacts proccing after units go. But the way this is worded is at the end of an enemy's turn. That's still technically during the enemy's turn. After an enemy's turn is after. At the beginning of an enemy's turn is still the enemy's turn. It's just the beginning. The end of an enemy's turn, that's still the enemy's turn. It's just the end of it. So safe money is this isn't going to work. And the reason I am 99% sure that that is the way the mechanic is going to work is because if it didn't, Harsetti would have dozens of counters. So I think anytime you read a skill that says at the end of an enemy's turn, it's not going to work with regards to a CR push-up. Now, if you look at Designer Lilibet, for example, Designer Lilibet's wording is different enough to kind of lend credence to this, right? Designer Lilibet's skill says, when an enemy's turn ends, gains 10 fighting spirit, and when her fighting spirit's full, she consumes. So this would work. Harsetti takes her turn ends. Then Dilibet gets fighting spirit, and the fighting spirit pushes her up. So in theory, Designer Lilibet is potentially a counter. Your Harsetti could go do all of her BS. Designer Lilibet could push up. That means she will go first of all of the units that have the same speed. So right out of the gate, you can cleanse everything, and you can roll back skills and regain control of the fight. So as crazy as it sounds, it might be Designer Lilibet's time to be back in this game. She might actually be a solid one of the only counters. And by when I say another, I mean the only other unit that I have found that has similar wording is Tempest Surin. When damage is suffered in one attack, blah, 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 caster's health, blah, blah, blah. When an enemy's turn ends, dispels all debuffs from the Cancer Grass stealth before increasing CR. So the enemy's turn has ended. Then she dispels, then she CR pushes, then she gets to go first and can potentially silence, kill, or damage the enemy team, right? So Tempest Surin and Designer Lilibet, those are viable possibilities. Units like Holiday Euphine, where reduces the effect of combat readiness decrease inflicted by allies by 50%. This isn't reducing combat readiness decrease. This is turning off combat readiness increase, so this does nothing. Even Sage Balance is on. Where is it? When this skill is available, according to skill cooldown count, so his skill will be ready, but it's at the end of the enemy's turn, which is still technically the enemy's turn. Won't work. Not during Harsetti's turn. Once Harsetti's turn is over and somebody else takes a turn, then Ball will push up and be the guaranteed third unit in line to go. But it's going to be Harsetti, then whoever speed RNGs to go first, and then Ball. Ball's not going to be able to use this during Harsetti's turn because it happens at the end of the enemy's turn, which is still technically Harsetti's turn. If you think that Horizon Acades is your Lord and Savior, Horchata has the same situation. It all happens at the end of an enemy's turn, which is still technically during the enemy's turn. It's got to say after the enemy's turn ends. Which right now, the only skills that say after an enemy's turn ends, things happen. Right now, the only ones that say that are Tempest Surin and Designer Lilibet. This skill has a lot into it, right? Some people are cooking some MLMs, right? Some people are saying, hey, what if I built a 300 speed Harsetti? And we know it's possible, right? She's got the same stats as Luna. It's possible to get her with good health at that kind of speed. And even have a little bit of effectiveness on her, right? So what if we do this? That means that I can actually speed tune. As long as I'm sure my opponents are relatively slow, I can say, okay, at 307, my Harsetti is going to make everybody else on the team's skills 276 or lower. So if I make sure that my bridge is 270-ish speed and that my DPS is 260 speed and my anchor is 250 speed, then I will get to go in the turn order I want as long as my enemy is all slower than 260, 250 speed. You could theoretically cleave with it. But you're putting all these stats into speed. When you could put all these stats, instead of doing a 55 effectiveness at 307 speed Harsetti, what if I did a base speed Harsetti with 400 effectiveness? Or 250 effectiveness and 200 effect resistance, so you can't mess with her after her turn is over. What if I give her 30k health? So her health scaling damage is crazy. We saw the damage she did here, right? This is 26.8k health Harsetti. Now given, we don't know the stats of everyone else, but that was 12,000 damage to a Sid, because he's got no defense, still 7,000 damage to haste. It did 8k damage up to 8k damage to DDR, but he did have a defense break. That's nutty damage. What if instead of building my Harsetti like this, I give her the crit chance she needs and some destruction for extra damage and pump everything into help and make her a DPS unit? There's a lot of different builds, and you can just say, screw it, I'm going to run turn 2. I'm going to pick her with units that I don't really care about their turn order, that'll debilitate the team, and you'll just mow over people. God forbid you run her with a unit that has slow, and you can put slow on the enemy team as well. They'll never take turns. You're just going to lap them. Because you'll be 116 speed, and they're all going to be 80 speed. So yeah, you'll be zipping around like lightning, and they'll be crawling. Is she a must pull? I think she's the most must pull unit we've had since Luna. I think her kit is on par with Luna's, if not better, for potentially being devastating to the fight. Luna's got more counters than she does. Right now, we've got Tempest Surin and we've got Designer Lilibet. That doesn't mean we aren't going to get more units with the counters. You guys realize that creating a problem and selling a solution is gotcha 101. And more units are going to come out that say, that have skills that read like Zio's skill, that say, you know, unaffected by combat readiness reductions. And this is why Zio works. More units are going to have kits that read like Designer Lilibet that say, instead of at the end of an enemy's turn, it'll be when the enemy's turn ends. CR pushes. There's going to be ways to combat this unit. They may not be out yet, and they don't want them to be out yet. They want you to buy this unit and absolutely destroy people. They want the community to be screaming for nerfs and saying, we need something to deal with this. And then Smilegate be like, well, we're the company that listens. Here you guys go. Here is something that counters Harsetti, just like you wanted for the low, low price of 605 bookmarks. She can be yours. And that's how it works. So, yeah, I've been around for a while. I've been playing this game since 2018, and I've heard it before. I have heard this unit's end of service. This unit is unstoppable. This unit's going to ruin the game. We're not going to have competitive play anymore. We're not going to be able to enjoy the game. I'm quitting. I'm quitting. That's it. I'm done. I'm out of here. I am done with this game. This was the last straw. I'm quitting. I'm going to buy Mystic Packs first to pull this unit, but then I'm quitting. Relax. Take a breath. See how she pans out. Smilegate has never let a unit ruin everything, with the exception of Hua Young, and they fixed that, for long. We all thought this when Landy came out. We all saw Yufien's kit and freaked out. We all thought DDR was unstoppable. We all lost our minds when Nakwal came out, myself included. I was totally on that train with Nakwal, and I still stand by that she is stupidly broken. Lua ruined everything. There's always a unit that ruins everything. And then we all buy it, and we all play it. We all start cooking. We find ways to deal with it. We learn techs around how to use it. And if we can't, we pre-ban it until a tech shows up that ruins it. Try not to get drawn into the Reddit stove Discord hype. Try not to like just jump on there and start screaming and parroting what everyone else says, because that's how things get ruined. That's how buffs that could have been fun get reverted, right? Let it happen. Let's see how it goes. If it ruins everything, Smilegate will find a way to fix it. In the meantime, yeah. Possibly the strongest unit in the game. Definitely in the top 3. If you have got the means at your disposal, I strongly recommend you pick up this unit. She will be out in almost exactly 2 weeks in the Mystic Summons. She will be mine. Oh yes, she will be mine. I hope this helps you guys out. That's my review, and that's my take on it. She's terrifying, especially for Arena. Not so much for Guild Wars, but rough there as well. But she's going to make Arena so damn unpleasant. But hey, here we are. Guys have any questions? People watching this video, if you guys have any questions, ask them in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You guys have a great weekend.